The scene is starting. Okay. Um, so yeah, I'll just start out. So my name's Griffin Day, and I'm one of the attorneys here at KC Elder Law, and I'm here with Sarah Boston, who is a realtor. Actually, you've worn many hats. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But right now you specialize in senior relocation. If we can talk a little bit about your background and kind of the benefits of the specialization that is senior relocation.
Yeah, I am a realtor, like you said. I've been doing real estate for 15 years. I specialize in helping seniors downsize and sell and transition into senior living and help provide resources to get them moved if they need to, or resources to stay in their home. My background was I worked in senior living, and before that I worked with children and families in social work. So I did that. So that is my background, is just having a social worker heart and just trying to help provide resources for people. So
yeah, and that's, I think, in elder law as well as in what you do, you really have to you have to care about people. You have to have that social worker's heart, I think, because a lot of times, I would say almost in every situation, everyone's extremely stressed. They're not sure what to do. Maybe there's been like a fall or a health event, and people come to us, and I'm sure they come to you too, and they're not even sure where to start.
yeah.
So there just has to be a focus on the whole situation versus, just the house, or, for us, like just Medicaid planning. There's just so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, usually, like you said, a lot of times my clients come to me, they've been referred from other senior living communities, or they came and toured someplace, or they went to a hospital. So they've had some sort of crisis, usually in seniors, that I've just I need more help at my house, or the house is becoming too unmanageable, or it's just becoming too much, or my daughter came into town and said, I really want you to move from this big house. And so we really just come in as a resource. A lot of times our clients aren't quite ready to move, and that's okay. We just come in and tell them what the house is worth and kind of look at the overall picture. Even if you're not ready to sell the house yet, the house is usually our last thought. It's, what do you need right now? Do you need home health? Do you need someone to come in and help you shower, or medications, or get you to your doctor's appointments? Just really just coming in as a resource and a friend. And we just come in and give them some advice on like what they can get for their house. A lot of times people don't have a trust set up. They say, well, I've got a will. And so we come in more as just kind of looking at the overall picture.
We were talking about the like a will versus a trust, and that's a lot of times people come to us too, and they say, well, I'm good, I've got a will, everything's going to my daughter. But I'm sure that being in realty, you've seen that it's not that easy. If you have a will and someone has passed, that's kind of the beginning of the story, not the end.
Yeah.
Versus a trust is, what I say to a lot of people is a trust does what a lot of people think a will does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a trust is what you need. And so many people will call me after aunt has passed away or mom's passed away, and they'll say, okay, we want to sell the house. And I'll look at the tax records, and we can't sell it because it has to go to probate for at least 2 to 3 years because they didn't get a trust set up. So my goal is to help educate people on why you need a trust and why you need to get things set up, like a power of attorney. There's just so many aspects that are so important, because the county and the state doesn't care about you as an individual. They want their money. And so if they can try and take as much money as possible and hold up your property for 2 or 3 years while you're paying legal fees and everything, they will. And so I want to come in and like just be the help, just an extension of all the resources, and just let them know, like, these are the resources available. A will is really nothing. A will it's great, but it's not legal as far as like selling a home, and all of the documentation that you need to provide all the protection that you want. A lot of people think it is. And that's why it's really important to go with a different attorney
Yeah,
that specializes actually in elder care and elder law, because they look at things completely different than just a regular attorney. A regular attorney may not specialize in that. So they may set up a will, but they're not looking long term. This might affect you later. You're going to have to set it up in a trust. So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, a will is, I mean, it's a great safety net, but like you said, a trust is really what you should have, especially if you're looking at a situation where, someone's health is declining and we're looking towards I mean, all of our future is uncertain, but I think when you get to a certain age, incapacity becomes, or it should become more of a concern for people. And yeah, and in the same vein, a lot of people don't really understand what a will does, which, like you said, is really not much. And then, I mean, same goes for powers of attorney. I mean, if you get a power of attorney from, online, LegalZoom, whatever, it might be good to, help somebody manage their money, or, you know, add a name to a bank account or something like that. But as far as actually selling property, you really should see an elder law attorney to make sure that your power of attorney has what's legally required to be able to sell your house if you become incapacitated.
it's like anything. Not all realtors are equal. Not all lawyers are equal, or, law firms. That's why I'm a big believer in you should use a specified elder law attorney, someone who does do that. They can look at the bigger picture. They're all a little different, but I have my favorites, which is why I help just be a resource to people. I don't get paid for it. I don't get anything for it. It's just to help connect people to the right people that I know will take care of them, and know that they're going to set them up, with a trust and power of attorney, whatever they're going to need for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that, that social work background where, you really do care about people. And what it's like, like you said, go to a specialist, it's going to end up saving you money in the long run. I mean, it's the same for us. I always tell people, if you're going to get just a will, you're signing your heirs up for, another lawyer bill after your death, and you're signing them up for a lot of confusion. You're signing them up for, they thought one thing, they're getting another.
Because Johnson County, I know there's other counties too, but Johnson County opened up a whole new division for just elder abuse, and it wasn't physical abuse mostly. It's like 99% of it is all financial, because somebody, is out there saying, I'll buy your house for this, and then they take advantage, and then they're going to apply for Medicaid, but it's causing issues because your big asset that you sold was worth this, but you sold it for very little. And so, the government doesn't want to pay for you for services if, there's another way around it. So it just becomes very sticky if you don't have somebody watching out for you, and looking at the bigger picture. And, I have a client currently that is getting ready to get a trust, but he has like 7 properties. He's older, he's 80 something, not ready to move at all, which is fine. But he was like, oh, I've got a will, I'm good. I'm like, no, you're the only person on that title, and his spouse died. I'm like, you're the only person on that title. If you were to pass, that title and that name stops there, and your kids cannot sell your properties. So you've got 7 properties that are all going to get tied up in court for 2 or 3 years. And he was like, well, I've got a life insurance policy, they'll be fine. I'm like, you don't know how many legal fees you're going to be paying out of that life insurance policy, and what a headache that's going to be for your kids to try and fight 7 different property, or even one. It's such a headache. People don't want to do it. And a lot of times the way that they make it so complicated is people pay so much in fees, so much in taxes, so much keeping the property up, and legal fees to get it out of probate. They just give up. They think the property is just not worth it. And it's such a disservice, because I'm like, okay, that was your asset. Your family member bought that, paid for it, has owned it for 20, 30 years. It's not fair to just give that up to the county. and you could have prevented that from just paying a small fee just to get it in a trust.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is definitely something I always emphasize is, even if you're going to eventually inherit it, like you said, it's going to be sitting there 2-3 years. If you've got a mortgage, the mortgage company's looking in the windows, the windows are getting broken, and the house is, maybe depreciating, significantly, all the while, somebody's got to keep paying the bills and property taxes. And it's just, yeah, like you said, it's just not ideal versus, with a trust, someone can just step right in and, they could sell it the next day,
Yeah.
if the trust is properly drafted.
Yeah. And so we just kind of come in as a service and just, we don't focus so much on selling the house, even though, that is something we do and do it really well, but we focus more on just the bigger picture. Like what is all of the resources that you're going to need, who can I connect you with that is going to help you in the long run, who's going to help protect your assets, help get you where you want to be, help protect your family. You want to leave a legacy and leave something to your kids. Let's protect that, so.
Yeah. And speaking of asset protection, I'm really glad you mentioned Medicaid earlier, because yeah, one thing that a lot of people might not be aware of is that if you sell your home for less than fair market value, that can be considered a gift, which can cause Medicaid penalties. So, a lot of times if you're thinking, I'll sell this house quickly, get cash now, that's what's best for me is to get cash in hand right now.
Yeah.
You could actually end up in a really bad, easily a worse off situation if you're selling it for far less than market. And I mean, same goes for any assets, but with a house, because like you said, it's usually people's most valuable asset, the most expensive thing they'll ever own. There's just so much more potential for those huge, potentially devastating penalties. Absolutely.
Yeah. If you want to stay in your home, that's great, and we will help provide resources, but a lot of times people don't have the resources to provide 24-hour care. So, you could do it for a little while, a lot of times, but what do we need to do to look at the bigger picture? Maybe we need to move forward. Maybe we need to look at a few independent living homes that could provide care, later on if you need that, or assisted living or something like that,
Yeah. And I think that's it's such a benefit of like that specialization in, you're a realtor that understands the needs of, the senior population. Like if, in a typical realtor, maybe if they've got a showing scheduled for that day, you've got to get out of your house immediately, versus for a senior, maybe that's not as much of an option. In the same way that for us, we do a lot of signings with people who, they can't leave the facility that they're in, or to leave their house would be extremely disorienting for them. And sometimes serving people in the best way means, like you said, going to their house, meeting the family, and just, looking at them as a person and maybe a friend versus just, just a client or, just another check.
But a lot of times with our clients, it's okay, if you want to sell the house, let's look at where are we going to move to next. Let's get that set up first. Let's go, let's set you up, with another resources that can help take you on tours, can show you exactly what you want for your budget, and won't show you anything else, but will match everything that you want, the area, the criteria, everything that you're looking for. And then there's so many resources that can actually move you into the community first, and then we can deal with the home afterwards. But every client's different. Some people don't want to do that. They want to sell it first, which is fine. But it is more stressful to do that, to live in it, and try and sell it. But luckily the houses are selling fast, so you don't have to, take a long time. A lot of times you can go with a family member for a weekend and then come back and your house is sold. So, so it's not too bad. But a lot of times our seniors we'll get them moved and transitioned into the community that they want to move to, and then we can deal with the house and have an estate sale if they have a lot of things they want to sell, or donate them, or whatever they want to do with them. Each person's different, but then we can deal with and then clean out the house and then deal with putting the house on the market and staging it and getting them more money. But a lot of communities will help with the deposit. They'll help. A lot of them will wait to get the full amount. like per month until they've sold the house. And so there's just a lot of moving parts that we can help with because the house can just be very overwhelming. You
Mhm.
know, you get very paralyzed with just wondering, okay, what am I going to do next? Like this is a lot to do and think about. So we just kind of come in and just help take one piece at a time and just try to take a few things off their plate if they want us to, and just try and help them make it a little bit smoother and something that they can be more excited about. If you can move into a community,
Right.
have to cook every meal for yourself, you can come and go as you please still, you can drive,
Yeah, and there's so many benefits that can be hard to see, like when you said when you're so overwhelmed and when you're if you're maybe focusing on your attachment to your house versus the reality of kind of what's best for you now and in the future.
yeah,
'Cause a lot of times you really like even just talking to somebody like you who has been through this hundreds, maybe like even thousands of times versus most people, their resources like maybe their neighbor or somebody from church or somebody down the street that they went through this with their grandfather 10 years ago, but everything's so different now. Like you said, the market's different. There's so many more options these days than there were. And I like the benefit of the specialty is just you can connect with someone who is really hooked into all those resources.
yeah. And we're talking about, all the resources stuff and all of the, but you mentioned the emotional part, and
Yeah.
it's very emotional. I mean, I can understand that no matter how many times we've done this, it's not, the client has not done this that many times, and that's understandable. This may be the house that their kids grew up in, or they were married in, or whatever, just the house that they've owned for a long time, or an area that they've lived, or, love their neighbors. And so it can be very emotional, which is understandable. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot of change, which change is hard for any age. And so we just kind of come in as a friend. We don't push people. We go at their pace. If they're not ready for 6 months, that's okay, or a year or 2 years. We just come in, and it's not our timetable, it's theirs. And so,
Right. And I'm sure you deal with this as well. A lot of times it's kind of like you don't have just one client. It's like the whole family is your client, because the kids are involved, sometimes there's a brother or sister involved, and it's you have to you know talk to everyone, make everyone comfortable,
yeah,
which
there's a lot of moving pieces with families, a lot of family therapy, and a lot of
Mhm.
family just dynamics. And so, yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces to it, but we try to like just keep everyone involved and try to get to the focus on, what do you want to do? As the senior, is this what you want? Do you want to
Mhm.
stay? Do you want to move? You know, we don't we don't come in and force them or strong arm anybody.
Right.
They want to stay in their house, that's okay, but how can we do it safely? Do you need resources to stay in your home?
Yeah, and it's the same way with us. It's like sometimes I say, I don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah,
It's my job is to, people have all kinds of ideas about attorneys, but at the end of the day, it is a service. It's a service industry basically. I don't push my views or my anything on people. I ask them what they want, and then I use my education and my experience to help them achieve that in the best way possible.
yeah. And what I like about referring to you guys is it does feel like a family. It feels like if I if I give you a client that I've been working with for a year, and I know their situation, I know them, and so it's almost like just handing you with like this great person that I really want you to take care of, and I know that they'll be taken care of. I know that you're going to look out for their best interests, and you're going to help them the whole way and explain it to them, and maybe 3 or 4 appointments before they sign anything or agree to anything, but you're going to take their time that they want to ask all the questions and answer everything. So that's why I do appreciate that.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about your services as far as the focus on not the cash offer, not the house, but on the person, which I think is what being in any level of senior care really has to be about, because otherwise, you know, it just doesn't work. You know, you're not giving people what they need.
Yeah.
What's the best way to get a hold of you if, you know, somebody's thinking that they need your services or might need them in the, you know, near future or in the future?
I'm Sarah Boston. I'm with Keller Williams. I have a team of 7 other agents on our team. And the best way probably to reach out to us is just phone call or text or email. Our phone number is 913-424-0427. But yeah.
And you call everyone back within an hour, at least in my experience.
Yeah. And we call everyone back in an hour. So someone will get a hold of you. If it's not me, it'll be somebody else on my team.
Awesome. And thank you so much for your time today. I know you've got a busy day. I'm sure there's lots of houses that need to be sold.
Yeah. Thank you, Griffin. It was great meeting with you.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Have a good one.